Hi there, everyone. I'm Christie. I'm a therapist and a relationship coach. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, where we give psychology tips mixed with some modern dating tactics in order to genuinely get a woman or a relationship that is authentic and that one that you've been always yearning for, okay? With your authentic self. That's very important. So if you're new here, please do me a favor, press the subscribe button and the like button and comment down below. Are you someone who is introverted specifically? Newsflash to what's going to come up in this video, okay? Tell me why you're here. Introverted, what's your experience? Let's get straight to it because in today's video, I'm going to be talking about dating tips specifically tailored to introverted men. And as someone, as a therapist, as a person who's introverted myself, believe me when I say I get it 100%. I've been the person, the Debbie Downer, the lame person who may cancel on plans last minute just because I feel the urge to just hide in my room watching Game of Thrones or Hell's Kitchen with a pint of ice cream and not talk to anyone at a really stressful day and just cancel on my friends. And society kind of deems introverted men and women as the boring and lame ones. And so I really want to debunk this and give you some actionable tips that I've worked on specifically with clients and myself to better our chances with feeling less isolated in this world, okay? So if you're an introverted guy struggling with dating specifically, I really want to tell you that I understand. The first point that I want to go over is being introverted or extroverted or that personality type specifically is science-based. And so it's actually on the same spectrum is what I call it. Introversion is on one end of the spectrum and extroversion is on the other end of the spectrum. So if we have to explain the both, it's important to understand the differences of the two, but not one specifically is better than the other. They both personality spectrums. It's the same personality trait, but has its own adaptive qualities, okay? And that's really important for you to understand. Now, what's the difference between the two? Introversion specifically, let's not get into psychology lingo. Normally speaking, how I explain it very simply with clients is that you get your energy by being introspective. You like to reflect, you like to journal, you like to think before you say or do anything that you might regret, right? You are kind of more inwardly in tune with your emotions or sensitive to your emotions. You like to think about what has happened throughout the day and you don't get energy from meeting people or going out in a large crowds, and you get most of your recharging of energy by actually staying indoors by yourself or with a loved one specifically and just being in pajamas maybe, and you get recharged by that after a stressful day. Now, let's talk about extroversion. The person, which I'm not, is kind of like the person who gets energy specifically from large crowds or meeting people, interacting with people, socializing in social groups. They're the person that on a Friday night, if they have no plans or their plans got canceled on them, they start feeling a little bit anxious, a little bit sensitive, and a little bit FOMO. And FOMO is something that men who are extroverted go through quite a lot. And so it's really important to understand the differences, and also not only the differences, that one is not better than the other. Again, don't let society tell you which one is better than the other, but it's really important to know what you need to optimize. And so that brings me to the advices that I'm going to give to you introverted men, and that kind of gives a clue on what I'm going to talk about. So before I give some of the points in more detail, I'm going to essentially go over some of the high-level points that I'm going to go over. So number one is the importance of actually being malleable, okay? And number two is understanding how to navigate through social settings and relationship settings, how to get a date, okay? Not only get a date, but how to navigate through social settings. Number three is how to find a compatible partner, why it's important to do that and how to do that. And then number four is accepting and understanding what your baseline personality type is, okay? Specifically, if you're an introvert like me. Okay, so let's talk about number 1, okay? And as I went over, it's important to know the differences between introversion and extroversion. In science, it is the same personality trait, but it is on a spectrum. And so most people tend to lean on one or the other. More introverted people might lean on introversion a little bit more. But why it's important to understand that you have to work on being able to be malleable is that personality type is not fixated. You can move it around. And if you don't know how, it might be something in which makes you a little bit more insecure and fearful of challenges, and it is not a weakness, but it could be a weakness if you don't work on it. So how do you start understanding how to be malleable specifically? When it comes to each spectrum, each end of the spectrum of the personality type, being introverted has its positives and its negatives, okay? I'm not going to talk about extroversion, but it goes with extroversion as well. It has its positives and its negatives. So it's really important to understand that when you're introverted, you have positive, adaptable qualities that you can use to your advantage, like reflecting, thinking before you act and before you execute, plan and pre-plan a little bit more before you execute. But some of the negatives are things that you also want to be aware of, which is you might feel a little bit more anxious when you are out in big crowds. You might not know how to communicate without being super anxious about what comes out of your mouth, and you might be the person in which becomes extremely scared of what other people may think of you. And so, as a therapist, I feel the urge to tell you essentially it's really important to use the positives to your best advantage, like being the person who can actually plan things before going about doing things right away, right? Or the person who is the friend that can always be there to talk to someone when they're having a really bad day, or the person who won't take it personally when someone actually cancels on you because you tend to understand, right? But the negatives are also things that you want to start working on, okay? So if you know that you tend to have your energy drained from a really long day in a conference or something, or you notice that you're interacting in a social group, you tend to be the one that stays a little bit quiet for too long and people are struggling to understand or hear your thoughts even. There are the positives in which you can optimize to benefit you, but I would actually really be proactive in trying to work on the issues that your introversion has caused you so that you know how to be malleable depending on each social setting. It's a very competent and proactive skill. Although you're doing it, it's not inauthentic in any way, but it's always a growth-minded mindset that I really want to promote most of my clients to have. And why that's really obviously important in dating is that you have to be able to know how to set a date, set the tone of the date, right? Be able to flirt, be able to bring humor to the table, be able to say your truth, right? Be casual, not be tense and things like that, right? And come out of your shell a little bit so that women can actually connect with you. And so being malleable is the first advice I would give to introverted men. Use your positives to your best advantage and work on some of the issues you've seen that you tend to shy away from. Now, number 2 is how to navigate through social settings and dating specifically. Now, for me, I know I practice this a lot when it comes to delegating the people that I choose to be friends with or interact with, or if I'm in a conference, who I choose to interact with and have a conversation with. Top of mind is it's really important, and the tip I would give to introverted people and men specifically is quality over quantity. You don't have to be the one that talks about everything and have to be the one only talking at all times, right? It's okay to actually think about what you want to talk about before you start interacting. But as I said, right, if you are the one falling back completely and always the one, In class, never raising your hand. I know it's been a while since I've been in a classroom, but the one in class, you know the answer, but you're just a little bit shy to raise your hand and speak your truth and speak the answer and show and let yourself shine, right? That can be actually dimming your light a little bit. So why I say quality over quantity. It's not about how many times you choose to interact with people, or how many conversations you can have in a day, or how many rebuttals or conversations you can have in a meeting, or how many points you can get out. It's about the quality of conversations and interactions that you can have. And so that really goes with dating as well. It's okay to be silent. It's okay to actually let her talk, but it's important you work on a couple interjections and have quality thoughts and let yourself shine a little bit. And if you're having trouble letting yourself, authentic self, your humor, whether it be a dad joke or something that you're kind of shy about, that is a bigger issue that I see. Because if you're introverted or you tend to lean on the introversion of the side of the spectrum, and you're not actively noticing that, you're not working on the negatives, but you're only sided with the positives of what your introversion has given you, you won't be able to let yourself and the world see you. You won't be able to let women see you for who you are. And I see that as a bigger issue. So it's okay to focus on quality over quantity. Quality conversations, quality interactions, quality people over quantity. You don't have to be the one that kind of shoots in their point, at every single point and interjection, right? You don't have to be at every single social gathering, but do make an effort to have quality. Really think about the quality in which the interactions that you want to have, especially when it comes to women, that you have a couple of points in there that kind of show her who you really are, okay? And don't let the weaknesses of introversion dim your light, okay? So optimize your introverted traits, use it to your best advantage, and be proactive in working on some of the issues that introversion has caused you. And so really quick story for me specifically, I'm just gonna be real with you. Putting myself out in the public on YouTube, on social media was the scariest thing that I had to face. I always believe if I am authentic and I am speaking the things in which I truly believe will be impactful to this world and impactful to my clients and be impactful in the mission that I have with mental health, right? It's important to work on the aspects in which I am fearful about or scared about. And so, yes, I am trying to be proactive in speaking a little bit more smoothly, looking in the camera a little bit without being shy, and noticing when my limits are being reached a little bit and I need to take a break. But introversion to a T, don't let anyone tell you that you don't have a light in there, okay? You just have to let it shine. So I've talked about how it's important to be malleable on your spectrum and understand where you lie on the spectrum of this personality trait, introversion versus extroversion. I've talked about how quality is much better than quantity when you are introverted. Focus on having quality interactions, but don't be fearful of it, right? Work on it if it's hard for you to interact with people in general. Okay. Number 3 is being able to find compatible social groups and compatible partners that actually appreciate for you for who you are. Now, there's a difference between not working on your introverted personality type. If you are always at home, never going out, always saying no to social interactions, and not working on actively trying to break out of that shell and connect with the world a little bit more. Why I see that as a downfall and something that's really important for people to work on is that it prevents you feel isolated at the end of the day. You feel like you have no one to turn to, and you feel like you are losing all of your friends. It's not so much that people haven't accepted you or people don't appreciate you. It's just the fact that you don't let them, okay? And so feel the urge to say that there's a difference between finding a group of friends, family specifically, and a girlfriend, a wife, a partner that will accept you for who you are. But if you are not actively working on understanding how being super introverted maybe can hurt those around you and also hurt you at the end of the day by making you a little bit more isolated, I see that as a really big issue. Understands that you're introverted, accepts you for who you are. You're also the person in which who will proactively try to fight against certain triggers or tendencies or habits of staying in, just so that you can really connect with those around you as well, right? Really important that we are neutral with the advices that I give. And I do believe that it's important for people to accept me for being introverted, but I also think it's extremely important for me to not use that as an excuse. If I basically canceled on my friends like 3 times in a row now, right? It's fair to say, hey, Christy, it's time to really go out and stop being like an isolated butt. Okay? Number 4 is it's really important to understand that although you are actively working on trying to be malleable, right? Trying to focus on quality conversations, quality interactions, quality relationships over quantity, right? And you're navigating through the social world and the dating world by actively working on the negatives of your introversion personality type and also optimizing the positives of your introversion personality type, being introverted basically. The very last point I want to give you is you have to understand where your baseline is and understand how to communicate to your friends and family and your girlfriend, specifically that girlfriend or women that you're seeing, that essentially this is my baseline. This is what I tend to lean back towards, right? And they should be understanding of it, accepting of it. When you don't want to go out, when you need a little bit of man caving time, they're not going to feel as though you don't love them at the end of the day, right? Or you are rejecting them. Because it's really, really, really important, and I see this a lot with my clients, is that sometimes in a relationship or dating, sometimes the communication aspect of it, there's words being exchanged, but there's not enough self-awareness to be able to give out the information that your partner needs in order to understand you more and not take it offensively to their care and love to you. So for instance, why I say it's really important to know what your baseline tendency is for introversion, so where you lie, what's your limit, what's your boundary, or how many times you want to be contacted and things like that. Those are the rules that it's important for you to communicate to your partner. Hey babe, like I do not want to go out this weekend. Please don't take it personally. I've been out 4 times to work conferences this week. I really need a break. I need some me time, right? I still do obviously want to see you, but I just need some me time, okay? And so that reassurance and that level of self-awareness prevents any confusion and anxious thoughts that your partner may have, okay? If you were to just say, hey, I need me time, right? A lot of thoughts can go through a woman's mind, okay? A lot of thoughts can go through your mind specifically of guilt and shame, and the unspoken words usually are the ones that if you don't have clarity that you communicated it to her, she probably also doesn't have clarity as to what you're feeling. So understand what your baseline is, communicate it to the women around you. Make sure that they are compatible by them understanding, even if they are extroverted and they want to go out with you on a night out and you say no, that they're not going to take it personally. They also won't feel rejected and unlovable, right? That you can communicate that, hey, this is my baseline, this is my boundary. Give me some time to recharge. All right, so that wraps things up. I hope you found this video helpful. It's really important to understand that introversion specifically is not a bad thing. It's actually really sexy. I love working with clients who tend to lean on the side of introversion because it's actually really easy to work on extroverted tactics and strategies. If that's something you're interested in, I will be going over it more hopefully in the next series. But give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if that's what you want me to talk about in the next video. I really want to focus on real behavioral tactics. But if you're introverted, guys, I'm the first one to tell you genuinely that being introverted and then just working on extroverted traits is honestly so easy. It's harder to be for an extroverted person to work on introverted personality types. Okay, so yeah, don't come at me for saying this, but love you guys all. I hope you found this helpful, and please come back next time for my next video. Bye guys. Hi everyone, if you enjoyed our content, don't forget to follow us on TikTok and IG where we post daily, and YouTube where we post weekly.